All rise.
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Be seated. Please call the case, Madam Court Officer.
Good morning, Your Honors. This is file KSC BC 2020-06, the Specialist Prosecutor versus Hashim Thaçi, Kadri Veseli, Recep Selimeni, Jakub Krasniqi.
Thank you. I note that all the accused except Mr. Thaçi, who is appearing via video link, are present in court today. Before we bring in the witness, there's a preliminary matter the panel would like to address. For reasons beyond our control, it is necessary to adjust the sitting schedule for Thursday, 26 September 2024. We will have a lunch break from 1 until 2 p.m. instead of the 1 to 2:30 p.m. And the afternoon sitting block will start at 2 p.m. and finish at 3 p.m. so that at 3 p.m. we will be finished for the day on Thursday. No other change. We will now start hearing the evidence of prosecution witness W03885. Madam Court Usher, please bring the witness in. Good morning, witness.
Good morning. Yes. Yes.
Court Usher will now provide you with the text of the solemn declaration which you are asked to take pursuant to our Rule 141, paragraph 2. Please read it aloud.
Interjection.
Conscious of the significance of my testimony and my legal responsibility, I solemnly declare that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that I shall not withhold anything which has come to my knowledge.
You can be seated now, witness. Witness, today we will start with your testimony, which is expected to last approximately a half a day. As you may know, the prosecution will ask you questions first, and then the defense has the right to ask questions of you. Members of the panel might also ask questions of you. The prosecution estimate for your examination is 30 minutes. The defense estimates that it will need approximately 2.5 hours. As regards each estimate, we hope that the counsel will be judicious in the use of their time. The panel may also allow redirect examinations if conditions for it are met. Witness, please try to answer the questions clearly with short sentences. If you don't understand a question, feel free to ask counsel to repeat the question or tell them you don't understand and they will attempt to clarify. Also, please try to indicate the basis of your knowledge of facts and circumstances that you will be asked about. In the event you are asked by the SBO to attest to some corrections made regarding your statements, you are reminded to confirm on the record that the written statement, as corrected by the list of corrections, accurately reflects your declaration. Please also speak into the microphone and wait 5 seconds before answering a question, and then speak at a slow pace so the interpreters can catch up. Please stop talking if I ask you to do so, and also stop talking if you see me raise my hand. These indications mean that I need to give you an instruction. During the next days, while you are giving evidence in this court, you are not allowed to discuss with anyone the contents of your testimony outside of the courtroom. If any person asks you questions outside the court about your testimony, please let us know. If you feel the need to take a break, please make an indication by raising your hand and an accommodation will be made. We begin now with the questions from the prosecution's office. They are seated to your left. Please give them your attention. Mr. Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning, witness.
I have a request. Your Honor. Your Honor. I wish to present in front of you a rule of our family, an event of my family, if I'm allowed to.
We have no objection to you doing that, but please let the prosecution lead their questions first, and then you will have an opportunity to say that. And Mr. Potts, you can maybe make room for him to make whatever statement he wishes. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right.
Witness, we've met before. I'll introduce myself again. I'm James Potts, a prosecutor at the SPO, and I'll be asking you questions this morning for the next half an hour or so. As I explained to you during your preparation session, which was last week, rather than asking you questions on every relevant issue you may have information about, it may be possible to admit some of your prior statements containing such information into evidence. And in order to do that, there are a number of procedural steps we would need to follow, and I'll turn to those steps after we establish your identity. So the first question is, please state your name.
Unë jam Demoshka.
I am the Mushkarsniji.
Your date of birth.
22
22nd July 1956.
Name.
Bayram.
Bayram.
What is your nationality?
Shqiptar.
Albanian.
What town or village were you born in?
Kam lindur në fshat
I was born in the village of Vlashk in Drenovs, municipality of Malisheva.
And what level of education do you have?
Kam të kryer shkollën e mesmet.
I have completed the secondary school technician in communications.
Currently employed?
Jo,
No. I'm retired.
What was your occupation before you retired?
kam punu në administratën
I worked at the Malisheva Municipal Administration.
Prior to that, did you ever work as a taxi driver?
po,
Yes.
And the items I'll be calling up to be shown today can also be shown to the public, and I'd like to start with 051757 to 051760 Red 2 with the corresponding English that is -ET. The first page of both items, thank you. Witness, do you see two documents on your screen, on the left in Albanian and on the right in English?
Po, i shoh.
Yes, I do see them.
And as you can see, these documents refer to your April 2016 interview with the SPRK. Do you recall that interview?
Po, me kujt.
Yes, I do.
On the page in Albanian, which is on the left of your screen, there is a signature under your name. Is that signature yours?
Po, në nënshkrim.
Yes, it is my signature.
Turn to the next page in both documents. And witness, this is the second page from the same item, again on the left in Albanian, on the right in English. We see two signatures on the left of your screen on the Albanian version. Are those signatures yours?
Po, të dyat.
Yes, both of them.
And let's go to the last page of both documents. So that's page 051760, please. Once again, witness two pages on your screen, left Albanian, right English. And we see your name on the bottom right-hand side of the document in Albanian. Is that your signature underneath your name?
Po, në nënshkrimi im.
Yes, it is my signature.
I'd now like to call up 070-966-DR-AT, Part 1, Revised RED, and the corresponding English version, which is -ET. The first page of both, please. Witness, do you see two different documents on your screen now, on the left in Albanian and on the right in English?
Po, i shoh.
Yes, I do.
The document, as you can see, refers to an interview with the SPO in December 2019. Do you recall meeting the SPO around that time?
Po, mbaj me.
Yes, I do.
And I note that this document consists of 3 parts, and it can be taken down for now, court officer. Thank you. And witness, do you recall being provided with an opportunity last week to provide clarifications in relation to your prior statements?
Po,
Yes.
And do you recall that you made a number of clarifications and corrections to those prior statements?
po, mbaj me.
Yes, I do.
Do you recall these clarifications and corrections be included in a note which was read back to you?
E kuptoj.
I understand.
Subject to the corrections set out in the note, which was read back to you, is the information provided in your SPRK and SPO prior statements accurate and truthful to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Po, deklar.
Yes, it is the same statement I've given before, and I stand by it.
And subject to the corrections set out in the note that was read back to you, do your SPRK and SPO prior statements accurately reflect what you would say if you were examined about the events recorded therein?
På besöken
Yes, I believe it would be the same.
I'd like to seek admission of the prior statements and associated exhibits. The ERNs are set out in our 19 September 2024 email and in Annex 1 to Preparation Note 1, and we also seek admission of Preparation Note 1, which is 122-855, 122-859.
Any objection?
Subject to any objections previously indicated in our Rule 154 response, we have no additional objections.
No one else? Thank you. 051757 to 051760 RED2 in English and Albanian is admitted.
Your Honor, that will be assigned exhibit number P01666, and if we can clarify classification.
Public for the statements and also for the one associated exhibit and the preparation note.
Thank you. So all will be confidential, or all will be public. Next, 070966-TR-ET, Part 1, Revised RED in 3 parts is admitted.
Your Honor, Part 1 will be assigned exhibit P01667.1. Part 2 will be assigned exhibit P01667.2. And Part 3 will be assigned exhibit P01667.3.
Then the preparation note 122855, 122859 is admitted, together with the associated exhibits.
Your Honor, the preparation note will be assigned exhibit P01668, and the associated exhibit as listed in footnote 13 of the Rule 154 decision F02585 is ERN 070964 to 070965, and that will be assigned exhibit P01669.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Potch.
Thank you. And Your Honor, on the 19th September, we submitted a brief proposed summary of this witness's evidence pursuant to Rule 154. We've received no objection, so with your leave, I'll read that now on the record.
Yes, you may read it.
The following is a summary of the Rule 154 statement of witness 03885. W03885 joined the Loom unit in Balins, Malishev around May 1998 and later served as a member of the military police within Brigade 122, including in Dragobil. W03885 was in Dragovil with Femi Krietziu and Skender Hoti when a vehicle with KLA insignia arrived with 2 soldiers who introduced themselves as from the KLA General Staff and asked W03885 and others to go on call 2 persons attending a meeting with the OSCE. W03885 and others retrieved Jakub Kastrati and Sendescu from a meeting and accompanied them to the vehicle. Kastrati and Descu entered the vehicle. Another vehicle then appeared and both vehicles took off. W03885 was present when Kastrati, Descu and others were released around a month after they were taken away from Dragobil. W03885 also provides information concerning his roles and those of others in the KLA and on the membership, structure, activities, authorities, areas of responsibility, and reporting lines of KLA units, including the Loom unit, Brigades 121 and 122, and the KLA military police units. We can continue in open session, and again, the documents I'm going to call up can be broadcast to the public, and I'd like to call up U017-3195-U017-3213, side by side with its English translation, which is the same ERN with ET at the end, please. And we could do the first page on both. Witness, do you see two new documents or different documents to the ones previously shown on your screen? On the left, handwritten in Albanian, and on the right in English.
Po I shoh.
Yes, I do see it.
Had you seen this document in Albanian before I showed it to you last week?
Jo.
No.
And on the page in front of us, we see the heading MP proposed list and several names. I'd now like to turn to the next page in both items, which is 3196. And witness, on this page from the same document, at number 2, we see your name. And in the Albanian, if we can zoom into the entry number 2, we see two letters, Z and K, appearing just above your name. Do you know what those letters, Z and K in Albanian, above your name refer to?
Zavens komandant I policisë.
Deputy Commander of the Military Police, Brigade 122.
And did you occupy that position in 1998 and 1999?
Po e kom pas.
Yes, I did.
On the same page, we see that the first entry refers to Seidi Pacharizi, who is listed as the commander. Was Seidi Pacharizi the commander of the military police platoon in Dragobil?
Po se di pa.
Yes, the commander was Seidi Bacharizi.
That's the military police platoon within Brigade 122.
Po.
Correct.
Still on the same page, at number 3, we see the name Tahir Oluri. Was he a member of the military police platoon in Brigade 122?
Nuk duket si nuk ka qenë.
I don't think he was. He wasn't.
Do you know Tahir Oluri?
E kom takuar gjatë luftë.
I met him during the war.
During the war, did you know what unit or brigade he belonged to?
Po në brigadën 122.
He was in Brigade 122.
Let's clarify, you recall he was in Brigade 122, but you don't recall whether he was necessarily in the military police. Am I understanding correctly?
Detajisht s'po më kujto.
I can't recall the details.
Do you know the person at number 6, Avni Krasniqi?
Avni Krasniqi.
Of Nick Krasniqi?
Për momentin nuk po më kujtohet.
I can't recall.
How about Beqir Bashota? Do you know that name?
Beqir Bashotën. Beqir Bashotën. E njoh.
I know Bashir Bashota.
In 98 and 99?
Po.
Yes.
Brigade 122?
Po në brigadën 122.
Yes, Brigade 122.
Page ending 3198, please, in both versions. And here again, witness on the left in Albanian, on the right in English, we see your name at number 2. Next to your name, it states you are in possession of an authorization card and uniform. In your SPO statement, you said that when you joined the military police, you were given a black jacket with insignia. And my question is, did you ever receive an authorization card when you were in the KLA?
Po e kuptoj çfarë.
I don't understand what authorization.
Receive any kind of card indicating your membership in the KLA in 98 or 99?
Po.
Yes. Yes, an authorization.
I'd like to turn to the next page in both documents, please, 3199. And witness, did the front of the card that you received in the KLA look anything like the one on our screens now?
På injante.
Yes, it does.
And if we could go to the next page, 3200, please. Witness, do you recall if the back of the card you received when you were in the KLA looked anything like the one on our screens now?
På stuiste.
Yes, it did.
And it can be classified as public.
Objection?
No objection.
Your Honor, we do object. This witness has indicated that he's never seen any of these documents before. The prosecution can obviously ask the witness about his unit, the cards that he had, what he had in his possession, which they've done. That's in evidence. But this witness can't be used to bring the document into evidence for the truth of its contents. We entirely content for it to be marked for identification. There may well be a future witness who can speak about this document as their document or a document they saw during the war or thereafter, but this witness is simply unable to do that. That's why we object.
Anybody else?
Your Honor, the witness has also said he has not seen this document before.
Your Honor, do I need to respond? May I respond
go ahead.
briefly? Thank you. As your Honors will know, during the entire course of this case, the fact that the witness may not have seen a document before is not a bar to admission. We're here talking about admission and not the weight that your Honors will give. The witness, as several other witnesses have done before on documents admitted by your Honors, has spoken to the content of the item, in this particular case, identifying his own name, his position, and other relevant details, which certainly meet the criteria for admissibility at this stage.
Thank you, Mr. Pouch. The document will be admitted, which is U017-3195 to U0173213. It does meet the prima facie standard for the admission of the document under 318 or 138. It is relevant, authentic, and has probative value. The fact that he hadn't seen it before is somewhat irrelevant to the admission at this stage. He has identified all the pages as including himself and other persons he knew, so it will be admitted. Go ahead, Mr. Potch. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to have a exhibit number?
Yes, Your Honor, the exhibit number assigned will be exhibit P01670, and I note it will be classified as public, as mentioned.
It will be public. Go ahead.
Thank you. If we could next call up SITF 00439-028 to 00439-030, side by side with the English translation, which is the same year end with dash ET at the end, and I'd like the first page of both items, please. Witness on your screen is another document, once again on the left in Albanian and on the right in English. Had you seen the document in Albanian before I showed it to you last week?
Jo, nuk e.
No, I hadn't. Never.
On the same page in Albanian, but in the English, I'd like to go to the next page, please. Thank you. And on the Albanian page, if we could zoom in to the bottom right-hand corner, please. Thank you. So, witness, in the Albanian on your screen, we can see your name here in the bottom right-hand corner at number 1 under the heading Reprimand for Absence. On the English page on our screen, this is towards the middle on the right-hand side of the page. And witness, next to your name in Albanian, we see a signature. Is that signature yours?
Po në nënshkrimi im.
Yes, it is my signature.
And as I mentioned, your name appears below a heading or a subheading which says reprimand for absence. Witness, do you recall in 98 or 99 ever being reprimanded for an absence or absences in the KLA?
Unë e kisha familjen e malit.
I had my family in the mountains of Turiag. I had my mother, my wife, and my 6 children in the mountains. And at times, I had to go and visit them, check in on them if they had food, and see their life conditions there. So at times I would be late on my way back to my comrades. So it must have certainly been one of these reprimands because of my delay. And because I was the eldest, this reprimand was given to me in order to convey a message also to the younger fighters, saying that Thaçi was given a reprimand for being delayed.
And you just referred to Thaçi. We know, because you stated so
fine.
earlier, that you're
Demush
Krasniqi.
Krasniqi.
Is that a name that you were known as, Thaçi, in 98 and 99?
Po lagja im.
Yes, my neighborhood is called the Lats. And there were 3 demushes in my village alone. One was a judge, another one was a teacher. And in order to not to confuse me from them, I was called that. There were many notable events in my family. My great grandfather and grandfather were called with the Thaçi after the neighborhood, that is, and that is what my friends continue to call me too.
And witness, this reprimand or reprimands, do you recall what period of time, what month and year you would have received such a reprimand in 98 or 99?
Dalla jo s'm kujtohet.
No, I do not.
And beneath your name on the document on our screen, we see the names Burim Fonici and Ekrem Gashi. Do you recall whether they were members of Brigade 122?
Po,
Yes.
And witness, do you recall the provisional government of Kosovo being created around March or April of 1999?
besa s'm kujtohet.
I cannot recall the exact time and date, but I was aware that the interim government, the provisional government, had indeed been formed.
Recall that when that government had been formed, there was a Ministry of Public Order that was created?
Your Honour, with all due respect, this is very leading. I don't think it's particularly contested, but maybe if he could just ask an open question, that would assist.
Your Honour, I'm not sure why it would be contested, but...
Overruled, go ahead.
Witness, I can repeat the question. Do you recall a Ministry of Public Order being created when the Provisional Government of Kosovo was created, or around that time?
Po, më kujtohet.
Yes, I remember it being created.
We could stay on the same page in Albanian. In English, I'd like to go back to the first page, please. And if we could zoom in onto the top part of the document in both pages, the Albanian and the English. Thank you. And witness, as we can see, the heading at the top of this page refers to public order police officers. Witness, do you have any knowledge as to whether any members of the military police in the KLA were transferred to the Ministry of Public Order at any time?
No comunque so.
No, I don't recall.
With Your Honor, we seek admission of this page, which is page SITF 004390028. That's one page in the Albanian. In the English, it's the first and the second page because the translation carries over there.
Objection.
Your Honours, yes, we do object. The witness has said that he's never seen this document before. It's particularly irrelevant here because it follows logically on its face that if he's never seen the document before, even though he recognises his signature, he couldn't have put his signature there. It would require further evidence to explain how his signature got there if he says he's never, ever seen this document before. He never said, I don't remember, I need to be refreshed. He said, I've never seen it before. Nothing adverse is being said about the witness, but it requires further evidence, hence the document cannot come in. The witness, of course, can give his evidence about what happened, but the prosecution would have to look to elicit further evidence in relation to this document, and perhaps they could say whether there is a witness coming who can indicate what this document is all about, where it came from, because then we could wait for that moment. There's also lots of other evidence potentially on this document, other signatures, if it is admitted now as a full exhibit, well, that could then all be used later on without having to come back to that again. That's the danger of doing it in this way. Hence, we propose marking it for identification at this stage only.
SITF 004390028 to 004393030 is admitted under having met the minimum standards of Rule 138.
Just to clarify, Your Honor, we're only tendering the page shown to the witness, which covers 028. So
Only 028.
Yes, and in English it's the first and
I'm
second.
sorry, I said the other part as part of the string, but it will be only 028 is admitted.
Your Honor, SITF 004390028 for the Albanian and SITF 004390028 to SITF 004390029, which are the two pages, will be assigned exhibit number P01671. And can we confirm classification?
Public, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for the witness. What I will do now, in line with Your Honor's instructions, is to give the witness scope to speak. Witness, I have no further questions for you at this stage. You indicated at the beginning of your testimony that there was something you wanted to say to this court. Before doing so, could you tell us what this matter concerns? What is it about that you want to speak about? I also remind you we're in open session, should that be relevant.
When I received an invitation to come and testify here as a former Kosovo Liberation Army soldier, a large number of guests showed up. Friends, veterans, that's what I wanted to say. There were people from the surrounding villages amongst them, and their message was for me to greet the the heads of the Kosovo Liberation Army, President Hashim Thaçi, Speaker Jakub Krasniqi Kadriveseli, and the Kosovo Assembly MP Recep Selimi. Friends asked me to pass on this message, and I do not know if I was able to do them justice. Thank you, that's all I had.
Witness, could you tell us who these friends who asked you to pass on that message are? What are their names, please?
Villagers from the surrounding areas, when they heard that I had been invited, they came to see me and to plead with me to greet these men who are here.
Recall the names of any of these villagers from the surrounding area who said this to you?
Are you asking for the names of the people or the names of the villages? It sounds.
Some I do.
The names of the people.
These were people from the villages. They are my friends.
Tell you what to say or not to say during your testimony before this court?
No.
And just to be clear, you refer...
It was only my own desire to convey this message here.
On this issue, you refer to when you were invited to testify. Could you clarify? You're referring to the last few months when you were informed to come here. Is that when these people reached out to you?
No, this happened on the day before I was due to depart to come here. One day before I set off to come here.
Were you the person who told these friends of yours that you would be coming to testify, or did they learn about your testimony some other way?
They had heard about it because I had made it public that I was going to come and testify here.
Thank you, witness. No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination by the Thaçi defense, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, witness. My name is Luka Mishetic. I am counsel for Mr. Thaçi, and I have some questions for you this morning.
Thank you.
I just want to start with some background questions. You joined the KLA in May of 1998, is that correct?
Yes.
That before you joined, you had heard from people around you about the existence of a unit in the area around you, is that correct?
Yes.
There was a unit of the KLA in Balins, and that the commander there was Enver Hoti, is that correct?
Yes.
When you first joined, you received a uniform?
Yes.
Your own personal weapon, is that correct?
Yes.
And you told the SPO that at the beginning there weren't many uniforms available, so people would wear whatever uniform they could get a hold of, is that correct?
Correct.
unit that you joined in Balins in May of 1998, it was part of a wider unit known as the Lumi unit. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
A simple soldier, correct?
Yes.
Professional training when you joined the KLA, is that correct?
I did not.
Whatever training you received was training that you had done, the soldiers had done amongst themselves, is that correct?
Correct.
After that, the only military training that you received was your obligatory JNA military service, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, this unit in Balins was part of a greater Lumi unit in Malyshev led by Isni Kilai, is that correct?
Yes.
Of the Lumi unit Point in Balins, correct?
Yes.
In Verhoti?
Yes.
Kilai's command of the Lumi unit was headquartered in Malyshev, is that correct?
Yes.
Last week in preparation note 1, which is exhibit P01668 at paragraph 11, that the Lumi unit itself was founded by Gani Krastici, who was a person of authority in the unit, correct?
Yes.
Gani Krasniqi personally, correct?
Yes, I do. I've known him since before the war.
And how did you know him before the war?
He had been a political prisoner, and our villages are close by.
What kind of relations did you have with Gani Krasniqi prior to the war?
None.
Had you met him before the war?
Yes.
Were you both members of the LDK before the war?
Yes.
I believe you told the SPO last week that you were in the LDK prior to the war, correct? You led an LDK branch prior to the war, is that correct?
Yes, we founded the LDK in our village. I was a member of the steering board of the LDK in the village until the war erupted. When the war started, then I ceased being an LDK member.
The war started, is that with the attack on the Yashari compound?
Yes.
Member in around March of 1998, is that correct?
I was no longer an LDK member as of March 1998. I joined my comrades within the Kosovo Liberation Army, and I'm proud about that.
Role in the LDK.
I don't know.
Do you know if he was in the LDK?
på när filmen på.
In the beginning, yes.
Do you know how he left the LDK?
Jo,
No, I don't.
You're also friends with Isni Kilai, is that correct?
på.
Yes.
You went to his house to wish him good health and the best as he was preparing to come to The Hague. That's what you told the prosecutor last week, correct?
På.
Yes.
And you would consider yourself friends?
Patjetare kom på chock.
Yes. He was one of my friends.
Now, you are aware, are you not, that in addition to the Lumi unit in the Malashave area, there was also a unit known as the Chiliku unit, correct?
På.
Yes.
Fatmir Limai, is that correct?
På.
Yes.
8, you are aware, are you not, that there was a rivalry between the Chiliku unit and the Lumi unit, correct?
Jo, nog.
No, I did not know.
You weren't aware at all of any tensions or rivalries between Lumi and Chiliku?
Jo, jo.
I was not. No.
Your time as a simple soldier in the Balins point of the KLA, you were deployed in the villages of Balins, Lazits, and Vermits. Is that correct?
Vermit.
Vermits.
While you were a soldier in the Lumi unit, you told the SPO that you do not recall ever witnessing a visit by superior commanders of the KLA. Is that correct?
Jo.
Correct.
Now, you were asked some questions about joining the military police, and you told the SPO that you received an invitation from a fellow Lumi unit soldier to join them at the military police. Is that correct?
På.
Yes.
You told the SPO that it was a simple soldier that invited you to join the military police. Is that correct?
På.
Yes.
The reason he invited you was because you were considered one of the eldest people available. Is that correct?
På.
Yes.
SPO that you were assigned the position of deputy commander of the military police platoon of Brigade 122, correct?
På.
Yes.
Correct?
På.
Yes.
PO, and this is at Exhibit P01667.1, page 21, that when you joined the military police unit in Dragobil, there was snow on the ground, correct?
På.
Yes, it was in the autumn.
Yes, but there was snow on the ground?
På. Ni ploske på det som dokat.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, yes, there was some snow.
The earliest you could have joined if there was snow on the ground was sometime in November?
Nog är de datum är sagt.
I do not recall the exact date, but it was in the autumn.
Inte.
Towards the end of the year, but I cannot remember the date or the month.
At the time you joined, you told the SPO that the commander of the military police was Jakub Hoti. Is that correct?
Io.
No, it wasn't Jakub Hoti.
Seydi Pachari.
It was Seydi Pacharizi.
The moment you joined the military police, the commander was Seydi Pacharizi. Is that your testimony?
Seydi Pachari.
Seydi Pacharizi.
And you served in this unit until the Rambouillet negotiations began. Is that correct?
Po.
Yes.
Then you told the SPO you returned and served in the KLA military police in your village. Is that right?
Po.
Yes.
Now, in terms of your tasks as a member of the military police, I just want to go over a little bit about what you told the SPO. You said to the SPO that your tasks as a military policeman were to were to check on the civilian population. Is that correct?
Po.
Correct.
And this is at P01667.1, page 21 in the English. Our duty was sometimes to go to different villages in order to check whether the population had flour and whether they had food. Is that correct?
Po.
Yes.
As a military policeman, your duties did not include providing security or logistical arrangements for higher level commanders visiting the area. Is that correct?
Io.
Yes.
Your duties did not include arresting people. Correct?
Esatto. Nuk është.
Correct. That wasn't included.
So that this includes that you did not have the authority to arrest fellow soldiers. And that's at P01667.2, page 12. Is that correct?
Po, esatto.
It is correct.
You told the SPO that during your time with the military police, you never received any written orders. Is that correct?
Esatto.
Correct, yes.
Any lists of people to arrest or consider as suspicious? Is that correct? That's what you told the SPO?
Io.
We had no such list.
And you told the SPO at part 2, page 11 of your interview that you also did not receive any lists of, or did not receive any instruction that people who were involved in LDK should be stopped or treated as potentially suspicious. Is that correct?
Esatto.
Correct.
As a member of the military police, you were not tasked with transporting people to a different location for the KLA to question them. Is that correct?
Io. Esatto.
Correct, yes.
So that the military police where you served was not tasked at all in dealing with potential collaborators. Is that correct?
Esatto.
Correct.
Time, and I don't know if you wish to take the break.
Yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay.
We'll give you a 10-minute break, witness. Please don't speak to anybody outside of the courtroom about your testimony in court. You may go with the court usher now out of the room. We're adjourned until 10:10.
All rise. All rise.
Be seated, please. Madam Usher, you may bring the witness in. All right, witness, we will continue now with the cross-examination by the Thaçi defense. Go ahead, Mr. Misatich.
Thank you, Mr. President. Witness, I'd like to turn your attention now to the case of Messrs. Descu and Castrati. And the first, where I'd like to start is, over the course of the last 25 years, the media have reported that you, Mr. Hoti and Femi Krieziu, were the ones that arrested Messrs. Castrati and Descu, correct?
Some media.
A lot of media are reported alleging that we arrested them. I did, which is not true. In my first statement and in my second statement, I said, please don't use the word arrest, because that is not true.
Is that, and you told us to the SPO last week in preparation note 1 at paragraph 19, that this media coverage, these allegations in the media over the last 25 years have been, quote, like a stain on the three of you. Is that correct?
Poor.
Correct.
Let's turn to what you know about their case. You've told the SPO that you were simply hanging out on the street with two of your fellow soldiers from the brigade, Skender Hoti and Femi Krieziu, when a car arrived. Is that correct?
Can
Can I repeat it? We were. Can I retell the story how it happened?
So I just want to set the scene. You're on the street with Skender Hoti and Femi Krieziu. Is that correct?
Poor.
Yes.
Again, by coincidence, it's a car that you recognize as coming from the KLA General Staff, correct?
Poor. Kista.
Correct. It had the KLA markings.
KLA markings don't typically have anything saying General Staff on them, right?
Joo, nukskuin.
Correct. It doesn't.
First question to you is how, if the car just says KLA on it, how do you know it's a car from the General Staff?
Pa personat që dolën nga
The persons who came out of the vehicle were two soldiers. They saw us conversing there, Fehmi, Iskandar, Hodi, myself, and some other soldiers. And they addressed us saying, we are here to take two persons from who are here inside the OSCE house. We did not know who they were talking about. Fehmi, who was younger, went to the house, knocked on the door, and called them. When they came out, we saw who these two persons were.
Let's first talk about the car. You agree with me that there's nothing about the car that says General Staff, correct?
jo, nuk ka.
Correct.
You don't know by seeing the car that they're from the General Staff. So now these two soldiers, whom you did not recognize, you don't know who these people are, correct?
Jo,
Correct.
Unable to identify them, correct?
jo, nuk i njohat.
Correct, I don't know them.
Their names, correct?
Jo, vetëm thanë ke
Correct, they didn't. They just said we're here to pick up or take two persons who are here. We thought they were their people.
Yes, but now I'd like to know, they don't identify themselves. They say they're there to take two people. How do you know they're from the General Staff?
po erdhëm të i marrëmi për një bisedë.
We are here to take them for a conversation. We have to talk to them. We didn't know what sort of conversation. We thought these were their people. They had dropped off and they were there to pick them up again.
My question is, how do you know that these two ordinary soldiers are from the General Staff?
Po ne na u prezentuan ashtu.
This is how they introduced themselves.
That they weren't members of the General Staff, that they were just ordinary soldiers of the General Staff. Now, how do you know they weren't members of the General Staff?
Jo, nuk e kuptoj.
I don't understand your question.
That they weren't the overall commander of the KLA had come to personally arrest them. How did you know what positions they had in the General Staff? You've told the SPO they were ordinary soldiers.
If I may get a reference to where the witness said this to the SPO, please.
Sorry, to the SPRK. And this is his 2016 statement, which is Exhibit P01666, page 3. And this is, I'll read it out to you. This person told, this is what you said in 2016. This person told us from the car in which Tsene and Jakub entered that Tsene and Jakub were going to give a statement regarding the meeting with the U.S. officials. These persons were not public persons, members of the General Staff, but ordinary soldiers.
Kështu e kom thonë.
This is what I stated.
They weren't members of the General Staff, but ordinary soldiers.
Po si mas ne aty për aty nuk mundshim të shih.
We could not see or any distinctive sign on them apart from the uniform, the KLA uniform.
What kind of distinctive sign would you have expected to see on a member of the General Staff?
Kur fashion e dalluese nuk ka qenë.
There were no distinctive signs whatsoever. other than the way they introduce themselves.
They didn't ask you to identify yourselves either, correct?
Jo.
Correct.
You have people coming, you don't know who they don't know who you are, correct?
Po.
Correct.
And then these two people, and all of this is a coincidence, right? They happen to come across at the same time that you're on the street, correct?
Tëra ka qenë e rastësi.
The entire thing was coincidental. We didn't know who was inside that place or who would come out when we would call on them. Only when we saw them coming out, Sen and Jakub.
Said that actually they asked someone of the three of you to go inside and to call out the two people in the American office, correct?
Po.
Correct.
SPO, this is P01667.2, page 5. So they addressed us, and they addressed me, and they said, "Gentlemen, is it possible to call two people?" We went there by the door, we went near the door, and Femi, who was younger than us, he knocked on the door and he said, "Is it possible these two soldiers are calling for you?"
Kështu ka qenë.
That's how it was.
And then you say, eventually, Mr. Descu and Mr. Castrati step out of the office, correct?
Po.
Correct.
Knew Tsendescu and Jakub Castrati from before, correct?
Si arsimtari.
I knew both of them as teachers.
Area, correct?
Si të gjithë tjerët.
Like anyone else.
Well, they were teachers, as you said, yes?
Po.
Correct.
A branch there, correct?
Jo, për drejtues nuk e.
I don't know about them being leaders. I knew they were LDK members.
And you said you explained to Tsendescu and Jakub Castrati that the two soldiers were looking for them for a consultation, correct?
Ne as që kemi biseduar.
We did not even have a conversation with them there.
Well, let me read to you what you said to the SPO, P1667.2, page 5, beginning at line 23. And you say, "Yes, and we told them that, quote, these two soldiers are calling for you in order to go and have a consultation. After they entered the vehicle with them, I heard, after they entered the vehicle with them, another vehicle came and both vehicles went towards Marali, went towards Pagarush." So, did you tell them these two soldiers are calling for you in order to go have a consultation?
Po tash se nuk po më kujtohet detaj.
Now I cannot recall the specifics, but we did not have a conversation. Even if I told them these two soldiers are calling for you, is nothing wrong with that because I knew them. And we thought they were going for a normal conversation.
In 2016, in your SPRK statement, you stated that one of the two men that came with the car told you that, quote, Tene and Jakub were going to give a statement regarding the meeting with U.S. officials. Is that right?
Nuk e di.
I don't know about this part of this statement. However, they did not mention the names of Tsen or Jakub, these two soldiers. I mean, they just said we're looking for two persons who are inside. When they came out, we saw who these two persons were.
What you told the SPRK, and this is P01666 at page 3, you said, this person told us from the car in which Tsene and Jakub entered that Tsene and Jakub were going to give a statement regarding the meeting with the U.S. officials. Did the person in the car tell you this?
Yo.
No.
Your statement
Yo.
is incorrect. Is that right?
Yo, nuk ma kanë thënë.
No, they didn't tell me.
And once Tsene and Jakub entered the car, did the two soldiers also get in the car?
Po.
Yes.
Physical appearance of the two soldiers.
Po pamjen fizike tash
Their physical appearance was, they looked in their 40s. At the time I was 40 years old, so they looked the same age. Now I'm not able to say exactly if they were younger or older than that.
You say at that point another vehicle came. Is that correct? When they got in.
Another vehicle came.
You said you didn't recognize any of the people in the second vehicle, correct?
Yo.
Correct, I did not.
And you also, when asked by the prosecutor to identify the vehicle, you said it was a civilian vehicle, it was some kind of Mercedes or Ascona, I don't know. Is that correct?
Kështu ka qenë, nuk më kujt.
That's correct. I don't recall the make of the vehicle.
Now, you told the SPRK, and this is at P01666 at page 4, and I'll read it to you. It says, another car was driving behind the car that Tsene and Jakub got into at Dragobil village. I do not know whether it was following the first car or it just happened to go that way. Do you recall telling that to the SPRK?
Po më kujtohet.
Yes, I do recall. I do not know if these two cars were together or if the second car just happened to be there driving on that same road. I don't know if they were together.
Don't know whether that second car had anything to do with the case of Messrs. Descu and Castrati, correct?
Jo, nuk e di.
Correct, I don't know.
Now, you told the SPO that you did not see Hashim Thaçi at all on the day that Tsen Descu and Jakub Castrati got into the car. Is that correct?
Jo, nuk ka qenë.
Correct. He wasn't, I did not see him. He wasn't.
You were also asked by the SPO, and this is at P01667.2, page 10. You were asked, at that time, had you ever seen Hashim Thaçi, or did you know who he was by name or nickname? And your answer was, no, no, no. After the war, only after the war, I knew him. Is that correct?
Po.
That's correct.
Now, you told the SPO that about 2 days after Tsen Descu and Jakub Castrati left in the car, you were informed that they had been arrested, correct?
U informum, po,
Correct, we were informed.
And this information was being spread as gossip among people, correct?
mes njerëzve.
Amongst people.
Who specifically informed you that they had been placed under arrest?
Pa I nuk e di,
I don't know who did, but their family members came to our houses, our homes.
Now, you had been a witness to the fact that they had been asked to exit the OSCE building and get into this car with two people
po,
Yes,
within 2 days that they had been arrested. Did you report to your commander, Enver Hoti, that you and two other members of Enver Hoti's unit had witnessed Tsendescu and Jakub Kastrati being taken away by two soldiers of the General Staff?
unë kam bisedu që
I explained the two persons were taken and that we had noticed once they exited the building that it was Jakub and Sen, and also that I did not know the reasons why they were taken. I did not know, I had no information.
për shokëve të me, shokëve.
To my friends, people I was with,
Enver Hotit, shumë vënë e kum po,
I saw him much later because at that moment in time I was with Seydi Bacharizi. I mostly stayed with him, was the military police commander.
po,
Correct.
po shumë vënë jam pas
I met with this Nikile much later.
u informu për këtë.
But he was informed about this event as well
Po nga njerëzit,
by people, soldiers, civilians. There was talk about Sen and Jakub having been taken for questioning, taken in for questioning.
po nuk ka pas person që se ka pas ditë.
Everybody knew that they had been taken.
Nietzsche have also known?
Nuk e di.
I don't know. I believe he did, but I don't know. Because I did not meet with him.
Didn't tell him.
Jo,
Correct, I didn't.
SPO that you personally did not know where they were kept during the time they were detained, correct?
jo,
Correct.
You told the SPO that you did not know their whereabouts, or any knowledge that you had about their whereabouts during detention is based on what you read or heard thereafter, correct?
'Kështu ka qenë.
Correct.
Were visited by Tsendescu's family, correct?
Po,
Correct.
Family?
po,
Yes, I did.
And did you tell them the same evidence that you've given here, that you simply were on the
të
street
njëjtën
and
gjë,
let me,
The same thing.
that you've told us here?
po të njëjtën gjë, jo.
Correct. I told them the same thing.
And you never yourself saw a written order by the general staff to arrest Tsendescu and Jakub Kastrati. Is that correct?
Jo, nuk
Correct. There wasn't.
Tsendescu's family a written order from the general staff to arrest them.
Jo.
Correct.
Now, you were present when Sandescu and Jakub Castrati were released. Is that correct?
Po, kom qenë prezent.
Yes, I was present.
You weren't there in any official capacity, you said you just happened to be there, correct?
Jos, nuk kom ka ardhur asnjë.
No, I can't hear anything. I didn't hear a thing. Yes.
All right. Just to be clear, you said in your
Jo.
No.
clarify this. In your preparation with the SPO last week at P01668, paragraph 19, you said you were not present in an official capacity when Castrati and Descu were released. You just happened to be in Dragobil and heard that they were being released, so you went to see the release. Is that correct?
Ashtu është, e saktë është.
It is correct.
And you yourself were based in Dragobil during your time with the military police, correct?
Po,
Yes.
You were shown a video by the SPO during your interview of the release, and at 36 seconds in the video, the SPO showed you images of the building in Dragobil behind the released people. Do you recall watching the video? Sorry, let me just clarify. I'm talking about your SPO interview.
po,
Yes.
During your interview?
po, më kujt.
Yes, I do.
Questions about a certain building in the video.
Po,
Yes.
This is that in your SPO interview P01667.2, page 18, line 22, you're asked, do you at all recognize the building that is behind them? You say, yes, these are in Dragobil. Question, do you know anything about that building? Was it used by the KLA? And your answer was no. Is that correct?
jo.
Yes.
Are you aware that Jakub Castrati, in his statement in 2016 to local investigators in Kosovo, mentions you as one of the people involved in his arrest?
Tash po ndëgjoj.
I'm hearing this now.
Okay. Jakub Castrati recalled that you told him you had orders to arrest him and that you had to implement such orders. Is that true?
Jo.
No.
You were asked by the SPO during your interview that at the time Sandescu and Jakub Castrati were taken away in the car, you did not know the reason behind it, correct?
E saktë.
Correct.
And this is again at P01667.2, page 11, lines 12 to 21. You say, later I understood that they were taken in over there to question them. And you say they were taken as people of the LDK. Is that correct?
Në mesin tonë shumë ka pas.
There were A lot of us who were from the LDK, even amongst the Kosovo Liberation Army, that was no obstacle at all.
Let me just take that step by step. You say it was no obstacle. It was no obstacle to be a member of the LDK and to also join the KLA. Is that correct?
Pues exacto.
Yes, correct.
Clear that you left the LDK in March and joined the KLA. There was no requirement for you to leave the LDK in order to join the KLA. Is that correct?
Io nuk ish kërkesat pose.
There were no special requirements for it, no.
To this question that I had, you told the SPO, referring to Messrs. Descu and Castrati, they were taken as people of the LDK. My question to you is, why did you say that?
Kanë qenë antarë të LDK-s,
They were LDK members, but they were not taken because they were LDK members. I thought they were taken in their capacity as teachers for a conversation with them.
Well, how do you know why they were taken?
momentin që janë marrë, prej momentit që janë marrë,
I know it from the moment they were taken,
as
not before or later.
Well, in terms of a motive for taking them, how do you know, for example, you told the SPO they were taken as people of the LDK. Today you say they were taken as teachers. How do you know the motivation of the persons that took them?
ja nuk e di këtë punë.
No, I don't. I do not know why they were taken.
Sepse kanë qenë njerëz
Even though they were LDK members, the reason why they were taken is not known to me.
Messrs. Descu and Castrati had a hostile relationship with Gani Krasniqi in October of 1998.
jo nuk e di këtë.
No, I do not.
Now, you've said that you know you knew both Isni Kilai and Gani Krasniqi before you joined the KLA, correct?
Po,
Yes.
SPO, at part 1, page 14 of your SPO interview, he was a person of big authority, referring to Gani Krasniqi, correct?
po,
Yes.
You knew that Isni Kilai and Gani Krasniqi shared an HQ, correct?
po,
Yes.
You that were present on the day they got into that car, meaning you, Femi Krieziu, and Skender Hoti, were members of the Lumi unit led by Isni Kilai and Gani Krasniqi, correct?
po.
Yes.
Now, am I correct that, and I think you've already testified to this morning, Isni Kilai and Gani Krasniqi used to be members of the LDK branch in Malashev, correct?
Po,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
As you've testified, and both today and told the SPO last week, you were the founder of the LDK in Lashkadrenots and the leader of the branch there, correct?
në Vllashki Drenot,
I was at Vlaški Drenots, yes.
And just to be clear, you were the founder of the LDK in Vlaški Drenots, correct?
po,
Yes.
the LDK in Vlaški Trenoc, were you aware of an extraordinary assembly of the LDK in February 1998 in Malyshev?
Jó,
No,
nog die pakket.
I have no knowledge about it.
We're not aware that within the Malyshev municipality
Yep.
in February 1998, there was an extraordinary assembly of the LDK where Gani Krasniqi and Hisni Kilai were part of an effort within the LDK to remove Ibrahim Rugova as the head of the LDK?
Jó, kert taas på en
I'm hearing this for the first time now.
And so are you aware that Gani Krasniqi and Hisni Kilai also left the LDK in or around March of 1998, around the same time you did?
Nog moet je toch het komen.
I do not recall the time when.
Were you aware, however, that they did leave the LDK at some time in the spring of 1998?
På.
Yes.
Were you aware that Gani Krasniqi and Hisni Kilai, upon leaving the LDK, tried to shut down the LDK office in Malyshev?
Pakket, nog die.
I don't know about it.
Were you aware that Gani Krasniqi and Hisni Kilai had a personal grudge against those remained within the LDK branch in Malyshev, including Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel hasn't provided foundation for this. If he has foundation, he needs to lay before asking such a question, stating it as a fact.
Overruled.
Thank you.
You may answer.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
På den här så
Please, yes.
Are you aware that Gani Krasniqi and Hisni Kilai had a personal grudge against those that remained within the LDK branch in Malyshev, including Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati?
Jo.
No. No. They had no grudge against anyone.
That Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati provided their political support to Fatmir Limai as the commander of the Tsaliku unit at the time.
Your Honor, again, I objection foundation. Where is this coming from? We don't know. We can't just assert facts to the witness and pull them out of thin air.
Your Honor, this is
Overruled.
just
Go
for the
ahead, you may
record.
answer the question.
I have a transcript reference, and I'll give it to the counsel in the break. Are you aware, witness, that Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati turned their support to Fatmir Limai, the commander of the Chiliku unit at the time?
Jo, nog
No, I don't know about this.
Now, you recall that Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati were supposed to give a statement regarding their meeting with U.S. officials at the time. I asked you this before, but let me ask you it again. Did the person in the car tell you that they had come to take Sandescu and Jakub Kastrati for questioning regarding their meeting with U.S. officials?
Your Honor, sorry to interrupt. There is a transcript error at page 47, line 19, where it says Jakub Krasniqi. It should be Jakub Kastrati.
That's correct.
Did the person in the car, the soldier in the car, tell you that they had come to take Sandescu and Jakub Castrati for questioning about their meeting with U.S. officials?
You.
No.
The arrest of Descu and Castrati within the Malyshev region, did that taint them and their reputations at the time?
By these them.
I don't know what to say about that. Every arrest is a stain on an individual, but it all depends on the way they interpreted it.
Yes, but you've testified that there was a lot of talk amongst the population, including by yourself, in the first few days after they were arrested. Was part of that talk that they were now being suspected as being collaborators?
Paano kung maintindihan na skakan?
I am not aware of what people said because they did not say that in my presence.
Witness, I'm going to just ask you for your comment on this, but if someone were to say that it was you, Skender Hoti, and Femi Krieziu who arrested Sandescu and Jakub Castrati on orders from your superiors in the Lumi unit, and that you are now attempting to protect your friends by making up a story that two anonymous soldiers from the general staff took them away and that you were only a witness, how would you comment on that?
Mathuwa ni her.
Can you please repeat it and be a bit brief? It was too long for me.
I'm going to put a proposition to you because I think it's only fair that you get to comment. If it were to be suggested that in fact you, Skender Hoti, and Femi Krieziu arrested Sandescu and Jakub Castrati on orders from your superiors in the Lumi unit, how would you comment on that?
Paano kansan order
There were no orders from the Lumi unit. It was all a coincidence, Counsel. We were there by chance.
And if it were to be suggested that you are now saying that it was two anonymous soldiers who came to take them away, and that you were only a witness, this is not true and is an attempt to cover your own involvement as well as the involvement of other superiors in the Lumi unit, how would you comment on that?
nunca pas perfectionet bror.
There was no involvement by any of the Lumi unit superiors and there was no involvement of the military police with the arrest. It so happened that we met them by chance and we went and told them that two people were seeking them. That is all that happened.
Further questions?
I have no questions for this witness, Your Honours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon.
Nothing from me, Your Honour. Thank you.
All right.
I do have some questions.
All right. We'll take the break and come back at 11:30 and take up your questions at that time. Witness, you will have a half-hour break. Please do not speak with anyone about your testimony, and you may leave the courtroom now with the court usher. We're adjourned until 11:30.
All rise. All rise.
Be seated. Madam Usher, please bring the witness in. Ms. Alakendra from the Krasniqi defense has some questions for you. Please give her your attention.
Yeah. Good morning, witness. My name is Venkateshwari Alagendra, and I represent Mr. Jakub Krasniqi. I only have a few questions for you.
Good morning.
You're aware, aren't you, witness, that Dragobil was being used regularly for meetings between the American officials and KLA members?
Yes.
And in the autumn of 1998, US KDOM was also based in Dragobil, wasn't it?
Yes.
Now, the American office in Dragobil was used for meetings between international representatives and members of the KLA, including general staff members. Am I correct?
Correct.
And you've already told the prosecution that although you were a military police member stationed in Dragobil, you were not involved in providing security to the KLA members who did come to Dragobil to meet the internationals, correct?
Correct.
We could have P1667.2 on the screen, please. It would be pages 2 and 3, lines 18 to 11 on the next page of the English version, and page 2 and 3 in the Albanian version, lines 18 to 7 on the next page. Yes. Witness, if you could take a moment to just read what's stated at lines from lines 18 onwards in the Albanian version of page 2. And if we could then move to the next page, please. Can we move to the next page, witness?
Po.
Yes.
Right, and you can stop at line 7 of the Albanian version.
Po.
Right.
Yes.
19, you were asked if you had seen any high-level KLA officials during your time in Dragobil, not limited to the day of Descu and Castrati's arrest, but referring to the whole period you were in Dragobil. Do you see that?
Po.
Yes.
That we did not stay regularly in Dragobil. Once I was informed that Jakub Krasniqi had been there. With regards to other occasions, I don't know, I don't remember all who had come there. That's correct, yes?
Po. Po.
Yes, that's correct.
In your preparation session with the prosecution, you're recorded as saying, and if I can quote, and for the reference, it's ERN 122860, paragraph 5. And you're recorded as saying this, that you did not see any KLA General Staff members in Dragobil. According to your friends, Jakub Krasniqi went to Dragobil for some meetings. Do you recall saying that?
Po.
Yes.
Witness, you have not personally seen Jakub Krasniqi in Dragobil. That's only something you've heard from your friends, that he was attending meetings in Dragobil, correct?
Po.
Correct. That's correct.
When you say 2 soldiers came and asked for the men who were inside having a meeting, that's Cendescu and Jakub Castrati, as you later knew, Jakub Krasniqi was not there in Dragobil. Am I correct?
Jo.
Correct. I don't have this information.
That's all my questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Alejandra. Any redirect, Mr. Pach?
Yes, briefly, Your Honor. Witness, earlier today, and I'm referring to page 36 of the real-time transcript, counsel for Mr. Thaçi asked you whether you told Mr. Descu and Mr. Castrati that 2 soldiers are calling for them in order to go have a consultation. And you answered, now I cannot recall the specifics, but we did not have a conversation. And witness, my first question is it correct that you yourself did not have a conversation with Mr. Descu and Mr. Castrati on the day when they were taken away from Dragobil?
Jo, nuk.
Correct. We did not have a conversation.
On that same day, did Skender Hoti or Femi Krietziu speak to Mr. Descu or to Mr. Castrati?
Jo, as
No, none of them.
jon
To my knowledge, none of them.
Do you recall telling the prosecution last week that you remember that Femi Krietziu spoke to Mr. Descu and Mr. Castrati when they came out of their meeting and told them that they had to meet with people from the general staff?
Po, femeo.
Yes, Femi called for them and told them you need to go to these 2 soldiers who have come to take you. That's all he said to them.
Thank you, witness. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Pach. Judge Barta?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Krasniqi. I hope you can hear me well.
Po, mirë.
Yes, I can.
Mr. Krasniqi, thank you very much for your evidence so far, the panel has a few more questions for you about issues that need further clarification. And I would like to start with the following question. In your SPO interview, and I'm referring to part 2 of your interview, P01667.2 on page 5, lines 7 to 13, you said the following. When, and I quote, when Jakub and Schene came out, I saw there were both teachers, intellectuals. We thought that they were calling them in order to consult with them, in order to get some kind of an advice from them. So we didn't think that those soldiers would go in to take them in order to arrest them, but we thought that they were calling them in order to get some kind of advice from them, end of quote. My first question is, what kind of advice, or what advice did you think Mr. Descu and Mr. Castrati should give?
By këshill, nuk e di çfarë këshille.
Advice, I don't know what advice, but I was thinking what I meant was that they would have a conversation. Considering that they were teachers, I wouldn't know what the content of that conversation would be.
And to whom should they give advice, or with whom should they have a conversation? What did you think at the time?
At the time, I don't know who they wanted to talk to and in relation to what.
I have another question for you in relation to what you told the prosecution back in 2019. And this is about what you said according to the transcript of that interview. Again, part 2, P01667.2, page 7, lines 12 to 21. I quote, after 2 days or so, we were informed that Schene and Jakub, they were arrested. And then you were asked, and who informed you of that? And you said, we were informed by people, and they said that Jakub and Schene were taken away. End of quote. Let me ask you again, who informed you? Which people were you referring to in your SPO interview?
Mainly their family members who were looking for them.
So family members of Mr. Castrati and Mr. Descu informed you that both were arrested? Is that your evidence?
Yes, this is what was said.
Did they tell you how they knew that they were arrested? Mr. Castrati and Mr. Descu? These family members?
I don't know.
You also said on the same page in your SPO interview in 2019 that after a few days we got the information that they went up there at the headquarters for an interview. And again, my question, who told you this? Or how do you know that they went up there, as you said, at the headquarters for an interview?
Their family members.
And I have another question for you in relation to your preparation session with the SPO, and I'm referring now to P01668, that is preparation note 1. and more specifically to paragraph 19 of that note, where it is recorded that you, as you said, or confirmed earlier today, you were not present in an official capacity when Mr. Crostrati and Mr. Descu were released. You just happened to be in Dragobil and heard that they were being released, so you went there to see their release, and this was also put to you by counsel for Mr. Thaçi today. And I have a question in relation to the next sentence, which was not put to you, where it is said or recorded that you were pleased that Mr. Crostrati and Mr. Descu, as it said here, were being released. My question is, why were you pleased about their release, Mr. Crostrati's and Mr. Descu's release?
I was pleased because we were accused of having arrested them. We have families as well. We have children too. We don't want our children to be told that your father arrested this one or that one. So we were pleased when they were released. Why wouldn't we? I have 6 children. And I want them to live free, just like other people's children. And that's why I was pleased when they were released.
Did you feel guilty that you were involved in the events which led to the, let's call it, detention of Mr. Descu, Mr. Crostrati, from which they had to be released?
No, we were not guilty at all. No, absolutely not. Never.
And what was the problem? Why were you pleased about their release when you didn't feel guilty? You just said you had 6 children. What was the problem?
Because people were saying the Mushkarsnichi, Skanderhogti and Femikuzi arrested them. And this was not good for us. We had no intentions towards them whatsoever. Therefore, we were pleased when they were released. Why wouldn't we?
Exactly my question, Ms. Krasniqi. But anyway, what did you think would happen to them, to Mr. Crostrati and Mr. Descu, when they were taken away? Since you had learned later, as you said, from family members of them, or their family members, that they were arrested, according to what you heard from the family members. What did you think would happen to them?
No, I didn't think anything would happen to them.
Next question is about what you told the prosecution, again in your preparation session, and what was recorded in preparation note 2. And this was put to you, also put to you by counsel for Mr. Krasniqi, page or paragraph 5 of preparation note 2. And I quote from this paragraph now. W03885, this is you, did not see any KLA general staff members in Dragobil, according to W03885's friends. Jakub Krasniqi went to Dragobil for some meetings. And my question is now, you know in what capacity Mr. Krasniqi, Jakub Krasniqi, came to Dragobil? Did you hear this from your friends?
I had no idea. I didn't know in what capacity Jakub Krasniqi came there. I did not stay there regularly.
Friends didn't tell you in what capacity he came to Dragobil for these meetings?
Jo.
They didn't.
Do you know what role or position Mr. Jakub Kwasniczy had in the KLA, if any, during the war?
Jo, nuk e di.
No, I don't.
You're not aware that he was the spokesperson of the KLA during the war?
Po nuk kisha informacione.
I did not have information. We were in an area around Kiev, Bubavets. I was not in a position to know.
Do you know what role or position Mr. Thaçi had in the KLA?
Jo.
No.
Just to be clear, I'm not asking you what you knew at the time, but do you know now what position he had, if he had any?
Po tani
To speak of Hashim Thaçi now, at this time when we live free in Kosovo, every Albanian knows the role of Hashim Thaçi after the war. We are proud of him, we're proud of his name. He declared our independence. From Rambuye and onwards, the deeds and efforts and work done by Hashim Thaçi for the people of Kosovo is known. Even children who are born now are baptized with the name of Hashim Thaçi in Kosovo.
Thank you. And what was his role and position?
po tash pas lufti ju mi.
I was informed after the war. I saw Hashim Thaçi on television for the first time in Rambuye. He was in the political directorate.
So during the war, you did not know that Mr. Thaçi was allegedly a political or the political representative of the KLA?
Jo, pas lufti.
No, after the war, we were informed after Rambuye.
And when you were informed after Rambuye, did you know that he was the Prime Minister of the Provisional Government of Kosovo in 1999? Have you heard of that?
Po,
Yes,
What about the other two accused, Mr. Veseli, Kari Veseli? Did you know what his role or position was during the war, if he had any?
jo.
no,
Same question in relation to Mr. Selimi, Recep Selimi.
Jo.
no. I did not know Rage either.
I have a question in relation to Exhibit P01671. Would like to ask Madam Court Officer to put that on the screen for us, please. Thank you. Now, Mr. Krasniqi, earlier today you were asked questions about this document by the prosecution, and you said, according to my notes, that you received reprimands for being absent. Is that right?
Po,
Yes,
I'd like to know from you, who gave you these reprimands for being absent?
po sigurisht nga komandanti.
most probably the commander, Sidi Bacharizi, did. We had our families in the Toryaka Mountains. My family needed food. I visited my family frequently because it was only my mother and the mother and 6 children in the mountains of Toryaka, and most probably I came back late on that day, and that's the reason why.
Did you also visit your family at the beginning of your service in the KLA?
Yes.
And were you also reprimanded then, or only later?
Po ma vonë, me siguri.
Later, most probably.
And how were these reprimands given to you?
Jo, po unë isha ma I vjetri aty.
No, but I was the oldest amongst my friends. So if I was late, then the others would be late. So this was fine.
My question was different. How, in what way were these reprimands given to you? Orally, or did you get a document?
Jo, kjo ishte vrejtje gojore.
This was an oral reprimand.
And apart from these 2 other soldiers mentioned here under number 2 and 3, do you know whether other soldiers also received reprimands for being absent?
Po ne ishim nga fshatrat.
We were from the villages. I was from Drenoc, Burim Funici from Lozic, Ekrem Gashi from Vermic. These villages were along the road from Pristina, Kiev, Pristina. So it was quite distant, and depending on weather conditions, the mud, the rain, we would be late, and that was the reason.
What about other soldiers, apart from the 3 you just mentioned? So was it, or do you know of other cases where soldiers received reprimands?
Jo.
No.
Now, one final question about what you said in your statement, or what was recorded in your statement in 2016, and what you said earlier today, your cross-examination by the Thaçi defense. And I would like to, or maybe it's better to put that statement on the screen. This should be Exhibit 1, P01666, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Page 3. Thank you. I will read, Skosnici, the English sentence, or the sentence in English, and maybe you could find it. I hope you can find it in the Albanian version of the document. And the English sentence reads, "This person told us from the car in which Cene and Jakub entered that Cene and Jakub were going to give a statement regarding the meeting with the US officials. These persons," this is the following sentence, "were not public persons, members of the general staff, but ordinary soldiers." Can you see that sentence in the Albanian?
Po.
Yes.
And
E gjeta.
I found it.
if I'm not mistaken, you said today that you didn't, or that this person didn't tell you this. I would like to understand if that is the case, why you, or why it is recorded in your statement in 2016 that the person told you that Mr. Castrati and Mr. Descu were going to give a statement regarding the meeting with the U.S. officials. Can you explain that, please?
Po, kjo mund më thonë ose nga Femia,
I must have heard it either from Fehmi or I actually do not remember him saying this. Because we did not have time to talk to them.
Is it the case that you don't remember it now?
jo,
No, I do not.
Sorry, let's put it off. Or is it your evidence that you didn't tell this to the special prosecutor's office in Kosovo in 2016?
bëlla nuk më kujtohet.
I really don't remember.
I note, Mr. Krasniqi, that this is the Albanian version, but in the English version, it is said at the end, and this is on page 051760. Maybe we can go to that page, please. The very end, it is said in English, or according to the English translation, I do not have anything else to add to the testimony. The minutes were read out to me, and I'm signing the same without making any remarks. And there's, in the Albanian version, your signature. And your signature can also be found on each page, which you confirmed earlier today, I guess, of the transcript. So, is it the case that the minutes were read out to you in 2016 and that you signed it without making any remarks or corrections?
Po.
Yes, it was read back to me.
And it's your signature, right? On that page.
Po.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Judge Metro.
Thank you, Judge Smith, and good afternoon, witness. Do you recall being asked by...
Good afternoon.
Recall being asked by counsel for Mr. Thaçi about Gani Krasniqi earlier this morning? If you did not hear my question, I'll repeat it. Do you recall being asked questions?
Yes, please.
Do you recall being asked questions this morning about Gani Krasniqi?
Po, me bëni.
Yes, you can ask questions.
Now, to your knowledge, did Gani Krasniqi have any role in the arrest and detention of Mr. Descu and Jakub Castrati?
Jo, kur
Gani Krasniqi had no role whatsoever in taking Tsen and Jakub away.
What about Isni Kilaj?
Asis Nikilaj nuk ka pas.
Neither did Isni Kilaj have a role in taking Jakub and Tsen away.
It's been suggested to us that Gani Krasniqi might have wished to defame Jakub Castrati. Do you know anything about that?
Io.
No, I do not.
Personally, or Femi Kriesiu, Skenderhoti, did you wish to defame Mr. Castrati by having him arrested?
Io.
No.
Personally, or to your knowledge, Mr. Kriesiu or Skenderhoti have any grievance with either Mr. Descu or Mr. Castrati?
Io, me asni.
No, with none of us.
Yes, sir.
Judge Gaynor,
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
any follow-up questions from the prosecution? Anything?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Witness, you were just asked by Judge Matro whether Gani Krasniqi had any role in the arrest of Cendescu and Jakub Castrati, and you said no. How do you know?
When there is no information to that effect, you say no, I don't know.
Just because you have no information to that effect doesn't mean that it's true, correct? Or not true?
When
I have no information, I say no, I don't know. When I say I don't know or no, that's one way of saying things briefly.
Matro's question, did Gani Krasniqi have any role? The answer should have been, I don't know, correct?
I don't know.
The same with respect to your the question he asked you about Isni Kilai. You said he had no role. The answer should have been, you don't know whether he had a role, correct?
I don't know.
One more minute. Now, if Gani Krasniqi or Isni Kilai had a conversation with Enver Hoti about Jakub Krasniqi or Cendescu, you wouldn't know, correct?
No, I do not.
Further.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Alejandra?
Your Honor, I don't have a question. It's just that the transcript keeps referring to Castrati as Krasniqi. So if that could be looked into, please.
I'm sure that will be corrected in due course. You can check again tomorrow to see if there's been any change. Witness, I'm sorry, anybody else wishing to follow up questions? Witness, your testimony is now completed. We thank you for being with us. You may leave the courtroom now, and your obligation here to testify is over with. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Ms. Rowan.
Your Honour, if I could please deal with an administrative matter before we break for the day. We've been in contact with CMU, and it's to deal with the replacement of a translation of an exhibit. We would ask the panel, please, to replace U0018394 to U0018399ET with the following ERN range: U0018394, U0018399ET revised, I can deal with the procedural history in relation to that exhibit, but in short, we requested a revised translation. One was provided by the SPO, and we'd simply like for the initial translation to be replaced with the new one.
Correct statement, Mr. Prosecutor.
Yes, we have no objection to the request by the
All
Vessel
right,
Defense.
all right, the replacement will occur. Thank you for the help.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I can just note, that is a replacement of the translation for Exhibit 2D14. I don't think that the exhibit number was mentioned.
That's the correct exhibit number. My apologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is all we have for today. We have nothing for tomorrow. We'll be here Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock to proceed at that time. Hopefully we can get through those two witnesses by Thursday. Thank you all for being here. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned until 9 a.m. on Wednesday.
All right.